and welcome to Representation Systems or Thinking Systems. In today's session, we're going to be looking at understanding how our clients process information and how they think. Because when we can understand how they think, then what you and I can do is we can speak into their understanding or speak into their processing. So let me give you an example. I want you to consider that your client thinks in Japanese, okay? And when you're talking to him or her, you're speaking in Spanish. Now, if they process Japanese and you're speaking Spanish, are the two worlds going to meet or are they going to mismatch? They're going to mismatch. So if we want to be able to communicate in the best possible way with them, what do we need to do? We need to be able to speak in Japanese, right? So client processes information in Japanese and you also are able to speak Japanese. Now what happens is we're in the same world, or we have a common ground inside of which we can impact our clients. Now obviously when I'm saying Spanish or Japanese, it's a metaphor. I'm just trying to give an example. But I hope you get the idea that we want to speak into people's understanding. A very important aspect of coaching is that when we are working with our clients, remember we are working with our clients' thoughts and feelings, or we are working with a client's way of thinking or thinking system which generates the feelings. All right. So let's go to how do people process information. Before we go to how people process information, let's first understand how do we take in information. Now, what are our input channels? Our input channels are our five senses, which is our sense of sight, which is visual, sense of hearing, auditory, sense of smell, olfactory, sense of taste, gustatory, and the sense of feel, which is kinesthetic. So visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. So we take in information through our senses, and what happens is that information, which is all sensory, which are signals, what happens is it comes in and it creates a representation of the external world. That means we are representing the external world internally. Now what happens is when we represent that external world inside, so some may be in pictures, sounds, sensations, when we've created that experience on the inside, you and I are constantly responding to our internal representation rather than the external world. We'll come to that in a later session. But this is important to understand that our representation systems, that we are responding to our internal representation.